One way you win the publicity and branding game is to show up. There are so many people who aren't doing anything regarding their visibility building that when you actually do it, stand in line, get in front, and use media to magnetize you and to multiply you and to magnify your presence, what will happen is people will automatically come to you. I like to say publicity is the gift that keeps on giving because you're bringing people to you, and that makes a big difference. It frankly makes marketing a lot easier and a lot happier because what happens is you get to, cast a wider net and bring in a lot more people at once versus a one-to-one call or, hoping and a praying, which is not a good strategy, but it helps. But
Welcome to another episode of From Startup to Wunderbrand with Nicholas Kuhner.
So I'm so pleased to have Jill Lublin back with us today, and we had such a lovely chat last time. For those of you who don't know who she is, Jill is a globally recognized authority on publicity and a 4-time best-selling author joining us today. We're going to talk a little bit about kindness and strategic PR and how this can elevate entrepreneurs and brands. And Jill is one of the few people who's worked with over 100,000 clients. So you know, obviously, what you're doing. We spoke about your ROK framework, which is the return on kindness. So we can just touch on that a little bit, but then we're going to look at some new things today. And that is an alternative to traditional ROI. So Jill, welcome.
thank you so much, Nicholas. I'm delighted to be back with you.
So last time we spoke about return on kindness, and I'll put a link in the description so folks can go and listen to that one. But let's maybe talk about that. Are there any clients you're working with at the moment that are using this successfully now? So since we last spoke.
Well, here's what's interesting. Every month I run kindness circles, and I think I've given you the link before, and if not, let's make sure they get it this time to be able to come in. It's completely free, and it's a powerful connection of people who are doing business in kindness. Let me just say, from my kindness circles, people are closing business, and I am delighted for that. I'm grateful for their connections and what has happened. And not only are they closing business, but certainly they're taking it upon themselves to go out and be more kind every single month. And that's been wonderful and exciting. Meaning, it's kind of my, if you will, invitation to them to practice a conscious act of kindness every single day, not just once a month, but every single day. And then what's really fun is in the kindness circle, they actually report their acts of kindness. So it's just been really wonderful. And I am seeing business transpire and actual relationships form, speaking engagements, and literally sales close. And that's what happens when you do business in kindness.
Well, I think the word kindness and the word joy come together quite nicely. So I try and push the concept of joy with my children and in my classes that I teach, that every day we should be joyful about something. Look at the lovely sun. And I often do this. I go, look at those lovely flowers. And I think when you're younger, you don't necessarily take that in. But I think the sooner you can start looking for opportunities for kindness and opportunities to see joy in the everyday, your life will be better, your clients' day will be better, and your bank account hopefully will be better as well.
Yeah, and listen, it's really important to notice these things. And I'm so glad you do that with your children and teaching them young. One of the things I do is 5 things I'm grateful for, and I start my day with it and I end my day with it, if I don't fall asleep first. But but that's the point. Is we have to focus on what's working, which is really what you're doing too. Where's the joy? Where's the kindness? What am I grateful for? These are great questions to ask every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. That gratefulness, I agree with you. And when we say our prayers at night, we say, "Thank you, Jesus," and we say, what was great today? So what cool, nice things happened today? It can be the smallest little thing, but it's to remember, because you often remember the bad things and you forget the nice things that have happened to you unless you talk about them. So I have a nice question for you, because this is something I was challenged with today. I've got a client who has got a brand which is small and niche, and then there's the person behind the brand. And it seems like these days, especially where we've got social media, we've got so much opportunity to dig deeper into brands and engage with brands. I feel that personal branding is becoming almost more important than the brand sometimes. And I think a lot of people, when they're starting out, focus so much on a logo, they forget the importance of the personal brand and how actually a logo you can do on ChatGPT, you can download better logos than I've done perhaps at my brand agency. Well, hopefully not. But they are focusing so much on CI branding, pushing the brand, whereas people now they've got so much choice. The differentiator is going to be the person. Maybe talk to me about how we can take people away from starting with the logo and rather starting with who am I, what do I stand for, and maybe tie in our ROK principles in there as well.
So, I'm so glad you bring this up because, listen, your brand is not Chat GPT. I mean, it just isn't. And maybe a great place to start, but realistically, it's not just about a logo. It is about brand recognition for who you are as a person. This is why I think, funny enough, the kindness can be the competitive edge. Like your personality can be your competitive edge, whether you're smart, funny, whether you're serious, whether you're focused. All of these things, by the way, are very good. There's no good and bad, right and wrong. But, take who you are, quirky, wild, crazy, serious, no nonsense, whatever it is, and make it your brand. And I think that that's a wonderful thing to do because it does distinguish you and it does make you different. And people go, oh, yeah, you're the whatever one, right? And at least they remember you for something. And the most important part is you always want to be remembered for something, seriously. And so what does that mean? Well, it's different in each case. But I think starting with your own brand, who are you? What are you known for? What do people say about you? And start noting those words. When I got introduced on stage as the biggest warm-hearted woman he knew in front of 1,200 people, that's a beautiful thing. And I have to tell you, I kind of went, whoa, I didn't expect that. It wasn't written in my bio. He read that, so to speak, from his heart. And it's nice to be introduced that way, but also make sure that you have your brand and how you want to be introduced. That's important too.
You talk about a very important point there, which is how other people perceive you and how sometimes you're not in control of your own brand. And this is where PR and obviously good media management comes in. For people who are starting out in their personal branding journey, let's maybe break down a couple of interesting things to keep in mind. And I'll just start you off. Consistency. Yeah, let's just start off with consistency, perhaps, and then you can take off from there.
I love the fact that you said consistency because not only do I always actually talk about that, to be consistent and persistent in the marketplace is actually really key. And one way you win the publicity and branding game is to show up. There are so many people who aren't doing anything regarding their visibility building that when you actually do it, stand in line, get in front, and use media to magnetize you and to multiply you and to magnify your presence, what will happen is people will automatically come to you. I like to say publicity is the gift that keeps on giving because you're bringing people to you. And that makes a big difference. It frankly makes marketing a lot easier and a lot happier because what happens is you get to, cast a wider net and bring in a lot more people at once versus a one-to-one call or, hoping and a praying, which is not a good strategy, but it helps. But what's really important is that you're doing real things in a consistent manner. I tell my clients, Nicholas, I run media mastery intensives and other programs. And one of the things I'm always big on is that publicity doesn't have to be long or hard. Listen, I wrote Guerrilla Publicity. I want you to make this easy and simple. And one of the easy and simple things is 30 minutes of visibility building activities every single week. If you do that, and by the way, if you go telling me that you don't have time for this, I think you're having too many Starbucks or something. But and give up one little thing, something else, to do maybe 15-minute segments. Two of them, I promise you, you're going to get actual results. Makes a big difference.
And I suppose as you start putting in that half an hour, I mean, it builds up over the year. I don't know how many hours that is over the year. 54. What's that about? 23 hours. That's a lot of exposure,
Yeah,
potential exposure.
yes, and
It's going
momentum.
to give you
Momentum.
things.
I'm sorry, and
It's going
momentum.
to give you things. Yeah. Well, it's also going to give you things like feedback in terms of what is resonating and what isn't. It helps you practice your pitch because I found that a lot of people don't have a pitch,
Yeah,
Jill.
yeah.
I asked them, okay, what's special about you? Imagine somebody you're stuck in the lift from, and you've got Elon Musk or whoever you like is in the lift with you for 2 floors or 1 floor. You've got 30 seconds to say who you are, what's and why that person should pay some interest in you. And I can count on my hands how many people can actually do that.
Yeah, it's actually shocking. And I agree with you totally, which is why if I were to wave a white flag right now, one of my white flags is get clear on your message, which is exactly what we're talking about. And guess what else? When media people are listening to your pitch, they want you clear and concise. They want you focused and in 5-year language so that any of their listeners and readers and viewers can understand you too. And guess what your clients and prospects want? Clear and concise language so that they can say yes to you. So what I love, and at least hopefully how I'm helping people, is that they get to translate their message from media to prospects to clients to networking and use it in a variety of platforms in a variety of ways. It makes a big difference.
So in your masterclasses, which one of those would help them figure out that process?
The Media Mastery Intensive is the best to do that because we actually start with the message. And right there, right then, I do believe in that. Almost every program I do, it's always about start with the message and do it quickly.
A lot of folks struggle with deciding which is the right message when they're starting out because the world is your oyster. There are so many nice, shiny, and glittery things out there that can take your attention. Or if I just say I'm doing this, then I'm going to lose out on all of these other opportunities. And I'm watching this fabulous series right now. My wife shouted at me at 2 o'clock in the morning last night to say, "Come to bed," because because I was watching gold diggers, and it's these folks who are doing dredging. It's just fascinating. It's not about the gold; it's about the personalities. But the folks who are very focused on one specific little line and area and stick at it, a little piece of gold that they found and stick with that line, continue with a great piece of gold. Those who go, oh, there might be a little bit more here or there, miss out, and then they can't find that line of gold again. I suppose it's the similar thing in PR and getting your message. You've got to choose a lane and stick into it. You can't be all things to all people.
Yes, and get clear on your message. And then in my systems, and I believe in publicity systems, every 30 days you will actually review and look at your message and make sure that it's congruent and consistent with who you are right now, what you're offering right now. Yes, we will review it every 30 days, and I actually really advise you to do that. However, start somewhere, and publicity is like a gardening process. You have to plant seeds and then they will grow in different times, in different ways. But we got to plant some seeds and you got to start somewhere. And I like to think of publicity like an evolutionary process. So as you change, yes, your message might shift and change. You will up level your offers and what you're doing and even your message. But this I see people getting stuck in this perfectionism or I'm not ready, and that's BS. I mean, I'm just going to call it because what you got to do is start somewhere. And wherever you start, it's a beautiful thing. And please know that it'll get better and better and better as you evolve, as your message evolves. And frankly, as you get clearer, the point is at least we start somewhere And I think that's a key point.
I like the gardening analogy, so that's a good one. And evolution, you put those two in there, and I think that's important for folks to remember that this is something that you've got to plant the seeds. There are seasons as well. It goes up and down, and you'll figure out those seasons. And if you plant at the right time, something good's going to come out of it. But you've got to plant it, and as you said, you've got to show up. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. So I think you've given us quite a lot to chew on there, Jill. For folks who are interested in getting your book, The Profit of Kindness, and to have a look at your kindness circle and to have a look at your masterclass as well, where can I send them?
Please go to jilllublin.com. And also for the kindness circles, it's jilllublin.com/kindness circles. So that's pretty clear too. So hopefully that'll help.
Great. And I'd also recommend that folks join you on LinkedIn because you've got some lovely content there, and that's a good way to get in touch with you as well. Jill, as always, this has been marvelous. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope people remember some of the interesting points that you brought up, and go plant those PR seeds right now.
I really do appreciate your comments, so why not go and watch this live on YouTube, or go to my website, kuhne.no, that's kuhne.no, for more information.